Welcome to the History of Kyokushin, a 3-part series on one of the toughest karate systems out there. Last week was the first episode, and we talked about Sensei Juan Oyama and his dedication to training and how he formed the art of Kyokushin. If you have not seen that video yet, I highly recommend that you watch that one first, as it will lay out a stronger foundation for what we'll cover today. In this episode, we're going to explore the training of the art, belt ranks, techniques, etiquette, and testing requirements in part 2 of the History of Kyokushin. Now, just a disclaimer, Japanese is not my native language, so I do apologize if I butcher any names. I'm going to do my best. So to summarize the previous video, we explored the background of Masatatsu Oyama, the founder of Kyokushin. Oyama, born in Korea, lived on his sister's farm in Manchuria, China, where he was introduced to Chinese Kempo. Later, upon moving back to Korea, he continued to train in Korean Kempo. During World War II, Oyama had been part of the Imperial Japanese Army Aviation School. Through his young adulthood, he studied judo, boxing, Shotokan karate, and goju-ryu karate. He also found great inspiration from the Bushido Samurai Code and admired the spirit of the warrior. He followed the ideals from his favorite book, The Book of the Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi, and he spent a collective 32 months training in solitude in the Japanese mountains. When he returned to civilization, he came back a hardened fighter and an incredible martial artist. He demonstrated his combat skills by fighting and defeating live bulls and establishing the 100-man Kumite, in which a challenger takes on 100 consecutive rounds of bare-knuckle, full-contact sparring. Oyama completed the challenge 3 times, defeating 300 men over the course of 3 consecutive days. He founded the art of Kyokushin, which translates to ultimate truth. Kyokushin is one of the most influential styles of full-contact karate, especially in competition. Most tournaments are unpadded and allow full-contact punches and kicks to the body. Now, strikes to the face usually aren't allowed by hand, but kicks to the head often are, and have resulted in some impressive techniques and knockouts. First, let's talk about arrival to the dojo. Kyokushin embodies a very strong spirit of discipline and respect, and their customs should be observed when visiting a Kyokushin dojo. All students are expected to bow in upon entering the school, and once again while exiting. Bowing is performed facing the front of the dojo, where there usually hangs the portrait of Sensei Masatatsu Oyama. The student then bows towards the direction of others. In the previous episode, we talked about the tradition of os, a word used to represent the spirit of the art. It is a combination of the words oshi, which means push, and shinobu, which means endure. In essence, the sentiment behind it means to push oneself to the limit and endure going past it. All greetings are observed by os, so the student is to deliver the word when bowing towards teachers and fellow classmates. During class, when given a command or instruction by a teacher, os is also used to acknowledge and agree. This is very similar to the traditional I used in many Japanese arts. So in Kyokushin, I sensei or yes sensei is replaced with os. Kyokushin dojos typically observe formal and proper behavior. So this means you should act appropriately while you're in a dojo and show respect to senior students and teachers. Students of lower ranks may address each other by names. However, this is not appropriate practice with senior students or instructors. When you're addressing a senior, you should address them according to their official title or rank, followed by their first name. Many Japanese schools have what's called the dojo-kun posted on the wall. Now these are the codes of conduct and rules expected in the dojo. In Kyokushin, the dojo-kun is recited at the end of each class. Students lined up by rank, they kneel down with their eyes closed, and the senior student recites the code out loud for the class. As the senior student reads it, the class will follow and repeat it word for word. We will train our hearts and bodies for a firm, unshaken spirit. We will pursue the true meaning of the martial way so that in time our senses may be alert. With true vigor, we will seek to cultivate a spirit of self-denial. We will observe the rules of courtesy, respect our superiors, and refrain from violence. We will follow our religious principles and never forget the true virtue of humility. We will look upwards to wisdom and strength, not seeking other desires. All our lives, through the discipline of karate, we will seek to fulfill the true meaning of the Kyokushin way. Like most Japanese martial arts, student ranks are represented by colored belts. Now, as we explored in the previous video, how many belts are there in karate, we looked at the difference of ranking systems across many systems of martial arts. The concept of colored belt ranks was first established by Jigoro Kano, the founder of Judo, and many arts followed suit with their own. Now, what we learned is each discipline has their own set of colors and belt ranks, each meaning something completely significant and different to that art. And in this respect, Kyokushin is no exception. Consistency is something that's also an issue in some styles, with belt order and customs changing wildly from one school to the next. Now, at least in Kyokushin, the order is generally consistent between schools with some possible minor variations. Similar to the other arts, colored belt ranks are called Q ranks, and they count down as the student approaches black belt. The different ranks of black belts are called Dan ranks, and they progress higher as the student achieves higher levels of mastery. In Kyokushin, there are 10 Q ranks and 10 Dan ranks. The first belt a student receives is the white belt. Now, in many martial arts, the white belt is considered the first Q rank, but in others, such as Kyokushin, it is called Mukyu, which means ungraded. This is an entry-level belt and requires no skill or work to acquire it, and it is not included in the 10 Q ranks. The white color of the belt reflects this, as the canvas is clean and the student has not yet had any experience in the art, so it stands for a level of purity and potential. The first official colored belt is the orange belt. Now, when Masayama first established Kyokushin, this belt was originally red. Now, the color red in martial arts is a little bit of a wild card. In some arts, the red belt is a lower grade belt, while in others, it is the color and symbol of mastery. So in Kempo and some other arts, red stripes are applied to black belts to denote Dan ranks as they increase. In an art like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the red belt is the highest achievable rank, even above black belt. It is believed that due to this discrepancy that Masayama changed the red to orange as to avoid confusion. Today, most traditional Kyokushin schools observe the orange belt, while some still might use the red. The meaning behind the color stands for a level of stability. Orange or red symbolizes the color of soil and earth, building the foundation from which the seeds of basics can be planted, cultivated, and grown upon. The blue belt represents water and a level of fluidity. Water is free-flowing and it can move and change based on its environment. So too should the student at this level displaying a level of fluidity and adaptability. The student at this point in time learns to flow within the context of what they have learned. The yellow belt represents a level of assertion. By now, the student has been training hard and should have developed a strong skill set of basics and physical ability. Now, as with most arts, Kyokushin students are not only expected to achieve physical strength, but they're also expected to develop mental fortitude as well. At yellow belt, the student is entering a psychological phase of training, understanding and dissecting what they have previously learned, and they are now learning to analyze new information. When the student achieves their green belt, they are entering the first level of senior ranked belts. This belt represents a level of emotion and sensitivity, and the student is expected to be aware and embrace the concepts of benevolence and compassion. It was once said that Oyama would declare that strength without justice is violence, also justice without strength is impotence. Mastery of the basics, strength, and speed are an expected combination at this level. Now, as with most arts, the brown belt is a senior rank and typically the last colored belt rank. In Kyokushin, the brown belt signifies a level of practicality. A student should be adept in their own training. They should be strong, fast, and they should be comfortable in the performance of what they previously learned, and they also understand not to abuse their strength and power, but rather to guide, mentor, and look after the junior ranks. The black belt, synonymous across the martial arts as a rank of expert. Now, I think we've all heard the expression that a black belt is simply a white belt and never quit. Now, while it sounds easy to say, it is certainly true. The black belt represents a several-year-long journey and hard work, and in Kyokushin this is no different. The black color represents strength, as the color black is too strongly pigmented and not easily overcome by other colors. So this philosophical notion applies to the student in that at this level, their skills should have reached a level of proficiency and that lower colored belt ranks should not be able to overcome them. Once the student obtains their black belt or first dan, they will spend a lifetime progressing, each additional dan grouped by a single gold stripe. Kohai. This is a term used to refer to the colored belt ranks or Q ranks. Now, generally, kohai implies a junior student, especially in comparison to another. If two students have the same rank, then the younger one is generally referred to as the kohai. Now, an important note is that this is not a title used to address someone. The word kohai is used strictly in the context of generalization, such as comparing, a student to a senior rank. It is considered inappropriate to address someone personally as kohai. Senpai. Senpai means senior student. Now, this term is used in many dojos of many different arts, and the senpai is usually the senior ranking student and often the mentor to the lower ranks. Now, in some styles, it can refer to brown belts or may even refer to someone senior in age. In the context of Kyokushin, however, it is reserved to those who have achieved their first and second dan black belt ranks. Sensei. Now, this is a term that pretty much everyone knows. It simply means teacher in the literal translation. And it's sometimes used in Japan as other teachers, not necessarily in the martial arts. In Kyokushin, sensei is a title applied to third and fourth dan black belt ranks. Shihan, or master teacher. The title of Shihan is typically bestowed upon those who have reached a level of mastery and usually lead a school or even multiple schools. In Kyokushin, a 5th dan rank and upwards is awarded the title of Shihan. Now, there are also some other titles that are much less common, but you may hear them in the context of Kyokushin. Kancho, in which the word kan means building or hall, and the word cho means head or the top. So kancho literally means head of the hall or head of the training hall. Kaicho is similar, except that kan is replaced with kai, which means society or association. Therefore, kaicho means the head of an association. Hanshi translates roughly to gentleman, scholar, warrior, and while it may not be a widely utilized term in Kyokushin, when it is used, it is usually applied to those with an extremely high ranking title, usually 7th dan and upwards. Finally, the term sosai. This is generally to refer to the president or director general, and no one in Kyokushin or its derivatives have really utilized it, and it seems to be an honorary and prestigious title applied to Sosai Matsutatsu Oyama for his extraordinary contribution to the martial arts. The closest equivalent to this title may be considered Grand Master, that is sometimes used in other arts for the founder or the highest ranking masters. Training in Kyokushin is divided into 3 main classifications, or the 3 Ks: Kihon, Kata, and Kumite. Kihon is a Japanese term that means basics. These are the fundamental concepts of the material. So all punches, kicks, blocks, steps, throws, posture, and movements are all part of basic training. Without these strong basics, the rest of the student's training becomes compromised. Kyokushin dojos also use what is called Ito Gaiko. Now, this refers to training techniques in motion. Ito Gaiko is executed with combining some of the basics into a sequence. Now, this is used to test and judge the student's ability to combine and craft concepts as well as effectively determine the strength of their technique. So perhaps a student can deliver a great punch from a stationary position, but can they deliver the same punch with the same energy and power and speed while moving and in combination with other techniques? That is the Ito Gaiko. The Kihon portion of the curriculum is always performed at the beginning of class. So after bowing in, the class will begin a regimen of basics and practice before getting into the main lesson of the day. This consistent repetition helps these movements become natural and fluent. Kata is the second categorization of Kyokushin training. Kata is an abbreviation of the word katachi, which means shape, form, or pattern. So in Kyokushin, as in most karate systems, katas are longer sequences of techniques, often simulating a combat scenario and demonstrating how movements, strikes, and defenses can be used together. The main purpose of kata is to teach the bunkai, or practical application of the movement. Katas are usually performed individually, and they allow the student to really break down and understand the concepts of the material. Now, Kyokushin also has a distinct organization to their katas. The majority of Kyokushin katas are grouped into one of 2 main categories: Northern style and Southern style. Masoyama studied many arts and drew from many influences, particularly from Shotokan and Goju-ryu karate. In the Northern style katas, they are derived from the Shurite tradition of karate, drawn from Shotokan. Oyama had spent a lot of time studying under Gichin Funakoshi, the founder of the art. Southern style katas are based on the influence of Nahate traditions, while Oyama was studying and practicing Goju-ryu karate. You can often see and find similarities between Kyokushin katas and katas from other systems, as many of them share the same roots. There are also some katas dedicated to weapon usage, but even more interesting are the ura katas. Ura katas are katas that are performed in mirror image. They are also sometimes called reverse katas, and they were formed by Masuyama to aid the student in performing circular techniques, sometimes spinning, turning, or moving forwards or backwards. It also prompts some coordination adjustments. If any of you out there practice a martial art and you have a kata perfectly memorized, try to perform it in mirror image and see if you can do it just as easily. Definitely a great training concept and a distinct part of Kyokushin kata training. Then we come to Kumite, or freestyle sparring or fighting. Kumite is where Kyokushin really shines in the public eye. Kihon and kata are important to learn and develop concepts and skills, and Kumite is where they are put into play. In a teaching setting, freestyle fighting is used to learn how to fight an opponent or how to adapt to a live situation and change your technique based on the scenario. Sometimes Kumite can be simplified and broken down into variations, such as Ippon Kumite or one-step sparring. This is when an individual practices the reaction by responding to an attack thrown by an opponent. There's also Sanbon Kumite, or three-step sparring. This is very similar, except that instead of just one step, it's done in a sequence of 3 counts. Kyokushin is a no-nonsense style of karate, and you can clearly see it in their competition. Full-powered body blows and devastating kicks are a staple in the tournament scene. Kyokushin tournaments are usually continuous fighting, and they're not point-based. The idea is get your opponent to submit by delivering rapid full-power strikes, or by knocking them out with a well-placed technique. It is not for the casual tournament participant or the faint of heart, and it's not uncommon to see opponents exiting the ring covered in blood, either theirs or their opponents. Kyokushin is also known for feats of strength, breaking bricks, rocks, baseball bats, even roofing tiles. Now, we did a video a while back about rebreakable boards for training, and we mentioned that they also made rebreakable bricks. As we looked a little bit further, we discovered there's also rebreakable tiles, so those might be perfect training tools for those in Kyokushin or those who want to train how to break tiles. So if you are interested, we have a link below in the description. Earning the black belt in Kyokushin is an incredible achievement. A student will go through a gauntlet of hard and rigorous training, rough conditioning, and a test of mental strength. I have spoken with some of you out there who have tested for a Kyokushin black belt, and after hearing what you went through to get it, you have my serious respect. Testing is often done twice a year, typically in winter and summer. Many schools will do testing camps, and the test itself is a gauntlet, usually spread out over the course of several days, 6 to 8 hours or even more a day of exercises, condition, fighting, drills, katas, more exercises, more drills, etc. Much of the test occurs outdoors in the elements, which can add a great degree of difficulty if you're somewhere where it snows or if you're in an extremely hot environment. In the spirit of Masuyama's 100-man Kumite, tests often have abbreviated versions of this, with belt candidates having to compete against 20, 30, or 40-man or more Kumites. Now that's 40 rounds of full contact continuous sparring, non-stop, lasting 1.5 to 2 minutes per round. Again, my serious respect to anyone out there who has completed that test. For more information on Masuyama and Kyokushin, I have listed some references below in the description. And as before, I wanted to extend my utmost sincerest gratitude to one of our viewers, friend and Kyokushin martial artist, Sensei Juan Ferrentino-Iorio from Melbourne, Australia, for his help in creating this project. Your generosity and efforts are greatly appreciated. That concludes today's episode on the history of Kyokushin. Next week, and the third and final part of the series, we're going to take a look at the impact of the art and the derivatives of it. Thank you so much for watching. For those of you who have experienced a black belt test, please tell us about it below in the comments. I love hearing your stories. Also, please be sure to support this channel and share and subscribe to this video, and make sure you click on the bell icon so that you get notifications of all new episodes and releases. Thank you so much. Os.